let's play this. Hillary Clinton, I know it's a little bit old, but I just found this sort of stunning.
Really?
Yeah, I did. I did find this stunning. Well, also, like, Howard being such a dick. Too.
See, that's what I found stunning.
I mean,
Howard, I'm disappointed in. Hillary, I expect.
Why do you think Howard Stern has good politics?
Because he's awesome.
Well, someone should remind him what Bernie did in terms of, radio clearance back with Sirius XM back in the day. Didn't he allow him?
Howard Stern had Bernie on at the height of the Clear Channel thing, and basically a year ago praised him too. Look, I mean, obviously Howard Stern has never had amazing politics, and he's an Israel lunatic. But he has, I don't know. He had a little bit of a rebellious streak. This
He's
is
the
just
man.
kind of depressing.
Let's start with
Nailed
this.
that impression.
This is number 15. This is just sort of a little bit of spice to give you a sense of what was going on here. And to give you a sense of like where Howard Stern's politics are. Now, to be fair, I haven't listened to Howard Stern probably in whenever since they went on Sirius. I never had Sirius. I didn't listen to it. Even when we were on it in Air America, they didn't give you a free radio, so I was like, I'm not doing it. I'm not listening to it. I'm not gonna pay for that. Forget it. And here is Howard Stern talking about, well, this one came up too with Bernie in 2016 and Hillary Clinton.
Wanted in a president. And when you were Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger said, you were like an incredible secretary. And he is the gold standard. The guy's a brilliant guy.
Right.
I mean, all of the work you...
Yeah, there you go. That's just that snippet. Nothing like praising a war criminal. I think, over the years, there's been a lot of people who have written interesting things. Hitchens had a piece that was turned into a documentary about Kissinger. Maybe that might have been the most famous one. Barry Crimmins had a great rant about Henry Kissinger that came off of his refusal to shake his hand. I read something recently, a quote from Anthony Bourdain, I think, who said that once you visit Vietnam, or Cambodia, maybe it was, it's impossible to leave there without thinking that Henry Kissinger cannot pay possibly a big enough price for what he did.
There's in the Hitchens book, he talks about Michael Korda, who I think was like a literary super agent, calling Kissinger in a documentary. And so the tape is rolling, and it's like in the 80s. And he makes just like a very comfortable joke about napalming Laos or something before he gets on with Kissinger. And what Hitchens really did do a very good job of showing how on one hand, and in this case, very specifically, because it is Stern and Colbert, had Kissinger on, and Kissinger was treated like a great Mandarin by all sorts of, total bipartisan foreign policy consensus. He's like that liberals and all of the establishment across the board just decided he was some type of super genius. That just became the accepted cliche. And then in pop culture, it was like, it just added to like his joke. It was almost like, oh yeah, like Henry Kissinger, that guy's a war criminal. That's kind of exciting to have him around.
Here's Bourdain on him. Once you've been to Cambodia, you'll never stop wanting to beat Henry Kissinger to death with your bare hands. You will never again be able to open a newspaper and read about that treacherous, prevaricating, murderous scumbag sitting down for a nice chat with Charlie Rose or attending some black tie affair for a new glossy magazine without choking. Witness what Henry did in Cambodia, the fruits of his genius for statesmanship. You will never understand why he's not sitting in the dock in The Hague next to Milosevic. While Henry continues to nibble nori rolls and rumaki at A-list parties, Cambodia, the neutral nation he secretly and illegally bombed, invaded, undermined, and then threw to the dogs, is still trying to raise itself up on its one remaining leg. I mean, it's not that Bourdain is some type of end authority, final authority on these things, but it's well said. Here is Hillary Clinton and Howard Stern lamenting not only Clinton. Look, People have said to me, she was on for 2 hours or whatever it is, and you're taking, 60 seconds out of context. She has spent 40 years in the public limelight. All right. I mean, I'm sure there are people who have been in the public limelight for more than her, but I don't know who. And they all know, whether it's Barack Obama or Bill Clinton, they all know when they say something, it travels. I don't know that she did this, but the idea that she would go on Howard Stern and talk for 2 hours to deliver 60 seconds of news, that's what you do professionally. That's like what the entire business of political communications is about. We're going to have an event in this town 2,000 miles away on this day at this time so that we get 30 seconds in the news. That's exactly what political communications are. I don't know that that's what her agenda was, but surely she knows when that question is asked what's going to happen with her answer. Now, the proper answer is, I'm not in that game anymore. Or, bygones are bygones.
Or he did over 30 campaign stops with me. Thank you.
He introduced her as the next president of the United States.
She can have resent. But the point is, unless your agenda is to create dissent within the Democratic primary, you don't do what she did. And she's smart enough to know what she was doing. And on top of that, she's also crapping on a policy that the idea that it should be attacked from anybody in the Democratic Party in this way, within a right-wing frame again, is also appalling. And Howard Stern, we'll talk about that in a second.
Bernie Sanders, and this was a perception I had. You would say a policy when you were running against him for the nomination.
Right.
And the next day you go, yeah, well, free college for everyone.
Yeah.
It's almost like when you run for a fifth grade class.
Yeah, right.
I'll give you free everything.
Chocolate milk for everyone
and more recess.
Yeah.
In other words, and then it makes it look like you're a stick in the mud.
I know. And then when you say, well, wait a minute, where's the money going to come from? Then what a minute, are you against free college? I know.
Yeah, now she had a proposal where you would have debt-free college, which means that you had the opportunity to work it off if you were not a wealthy person. Howard Stern, for one, went to BU, Boston University, in 1972. In 1970, just happened to find this, the tuition was, you ready for this? $1,850 a year, which would be the equivalent of about $11,500 today per year. It would be equivalent to that if there wasn't rampant inflation. It is now $50,000 a year to go to BU.
Old economy Howard.
This type of stuff is just sort of stunning. Now, fortunately,
between them, worth over $1 billion. Like, just really underline that.
And laughing at the idea, you can get free chocolate milk. I mean,
by the way,
honestly,
we should have free chocolate and milk otherwise in public schools.
I think we do have free public school. The fact is, in New York City, we do have free milk.
I mean, that's such I love how they use like another sociopathic comparison.
Well, but here's the other thing too. Like,
she already used the pony one, so she needed another metaphor.
But here's the thing. They are also equating a higher education with something that's actually sort of bad for you, right? Like, it's not just free milk, because there is free milk in the New York City public schools, incidentally, because they don't want to stigmatize people who can't afford it. But it's free chocolate milk. It's sweet. We're going to give you candy. That's what the idea of an opportunity to go to a college without having so much debt that it defines the rest of your life. That's what that is. It's candy. It's sweets. It's actually bad for you. It's indulgent. Now, I got news for you. Chelsea Clinton, she got all that candy. She never had that debt. She was able to do whatever she wanted. Howard Stern's kids, they can do whatever they want. They didn't have any college debt. I didn't have any college debt. And it freed up exactly what I wanted to do. I don't know that I would be here. And so I get the candy because my parents are rich. But other people, you can't have the candy.
Well, she's operating on her austere Protestant work ethic ideology whereby struggle ennobles the poor. And people are poor because they have a weak moral character.
Exactly. This is Paul Ryan stuff. This is part and parcel of the Republican Party think.
And if you go back and look at some of the things she said during welfare reform, it's reflected there, obviously.
I mean, it's stunning, the frame in which she uses here. You think like, yes, you know what? Bernie, yes, I felt like his promises were a little bit pie in the sky based upon the limitations of our politics today. But no, actually, what you're doing is you're giving them candy.
I think these are two really distinct positions, though, that it is actually worth being clear about for her and in general. I mean, and I think, and I'm not saying you haven't done this, but I think a lot of people who defend Clinton on like the liberal side of things try to do that all the time, which is the pivot of it's not that she opposes good things, it's that she sees a different set of political limitations, right?
She didn't say that.
Well,
yeah, she's like, I would love to give everybody
well,
college
that's yes,
and
but in
healthcare,
terms of the
but I
totality of
can't.
her career record and voting record, ideology, even her book, It Takes a Village, which I had to, dip back into and look at what people wrote about her in the 90s. I mean, what she's saying here is a pure distillation of her politics. She's not somebody who wants a more robust social safety net. She does not believe in universal provision. The big argument in the 90s was between people who wanted to decimate everything, and then people like Clinton, the Clintons, who wanted to, I mean, look, gutting welfare reform is still one of the most savage, cruel things that has been done in decades.
It was racist violence.
And what they want beyond that is it was small micro programs to equip people who might have the capacity to rise ahead in the economy. That's what they meant when they talked about social programs. That's it. They were not talking about universals, and she doesn't believe in that. And that's why she, not only did she support welfare reform in the 90s, she voted for re-ups when she was in the Senate. Like, that's her politics.
But she showed her whole ass here because she couldn't even pretend for like 10 seconds that she really would like to do these things if only it were politically possible. Like, she couldn't wait 10 seconds before she turned around and mocked it in a really contemptuous way.
I mean, it's the nature of that mocking. It's the idea of like, that this is candy. These are sweets. These are things undeserved. I think that's really, that is the most telling part about that.
Well, you know what? I think we maybe need to watch the part where she rides the Sibian to really understand her comments in context.
No.
It's sort of gross.